And we're back for game number 2 of this best of 3. We've got CyberPink taking on MUFC, and MUFC looking crazy strong in game number 1. It was actually one of those games that was just a total slugfest, and I kind of talked about this towards the end of that game. Usually when you have two extremely aggressive lineups that just go back and forth, and at one point I think we had 30 kills in 20 minutes, if not more. 9 times out of 10, at least in my experience, when you're in a situation like that, it's usually going to end up with one team just completely snowballing out of control just because they finally are able to put it together and take 2 or 3 consecutive fights. And that's exactly what happened with MUFC. Now, not to say that they weren't already building a lead, which they were. They were slowly eking themselves out, getting further and further ahead. And we're going to have a remake again. Yes! Gotta love 4 a.m. remakes. This is like our, I want to say we had six, something like that, but it's not me this time. So at the very least, I'm not to blame. Thanks so much for your patience, guys. Thanks to each and every one of you. No matter what time it is where you are, I know it's very early for many of you. If you're in Central European time, it's 10:30 a.m. If you're in the United States like I am, then it's either 1:30 a.m. if you're on the West Coast or 4:30 a.m. if you're on the East Coast like I am. So thank you guys for being here this early on. And we'll go ahead and bring up some good tunes. Going to bring Porter Robinson back up. This is Language. And we'll be right back, hopefully, with a game that's functional this time. Stick with us here on the G-1 Championship League. And we're back, hopefully for realsies this time. CyberPink taking on MUFC. This is game 2 of this best of 3 here in Group A of Phase 2 of the Asian qualifiers for G1. I got all that out without a single mistake, not a stutter. Give me a medal, or at least give me Dota. More Dota on the way right now. MUFC taking on CyberPink now. MUFC, as I was talking about during our other remake, just kind of rolled in game number 1. They had a really strong draft. I really liked their tri-lane. I was actually surprised that they didn't offensively tri-lane it, but I attribute that completely to them just anticipating the lanes. They put Queen of Pain in an excellent situation as well, and she was such a big part of their success in the mid-game. It's about a 30-minute game, so they certainly got it put in the books in due course. But the bans and the picks coming out quick. I'm not going to recap too much. We'll just focus on what we're seeing. First pick, Magnus. Haven't seen that in a while. I want to say I saw it once or twice in the last month in the D2L. Magnus, a hero who has waxed and waned over the last 30 to 45 days in his popularity, at least in the North American and European scene. And again, for those who are potentially tuning in for the very first time to hear me, I am predominantly a North American and European Dota caster. I cast for the D2L and a variety of other organizations. So this is a fun process for me. It's nice to be back casting Asian Dota. I haven't casted Asian Dota since Monthly Madness Asia, way back in the It's Gosu days when I was working with them. I'm working with Evil Geniuses now. But then, of course, the international. So I know the big name teams, and I try to keep up with tournaments as best I can. But this is really exciting for me, and as much as I hate to solo cast, at the very least, you guys can learn along with me. If maybe you're just tuning in and trying to get a grip on the robust and continually growing Asian scene, be it Vietnam, like CyberPink, or of course China, the Philippines, what have you. So much talent in this game as well. And CyberPink held their own quite well in game 1, might I mention. They went back and forth, and I kind of touched on that towards the end. And whenever you have a game that has a lot of kills on the board, more than 1 kill a minute, and it's very close, 16 to 16 at like 20 minutes or something like that, I want to say is where we were with things. When you find yourself in situations like that, 9 times out of 10, what tends to happen is one team just finally puts it together 2 or 3 times in a row and just snowballs completely out of control. And that's more or less what we saw out of MUFC. Now, they were slowly building themselves an advantage just because of the pure map control that they had. But for the most part, it was just a set of engagements that really slammed the door in CyberPink's face, and very well executed out of MUFC. But I don't think there's any doubt that CyberPink has the ability to take a game off of MUFC and force a game 3, so long as they cannot make some of the mistakes they made in game 1, predominantly taking fights when maybe they shouldn't have. I did not like their offensive tri-lane, and I think that bared itself out. It just did not go their way. They had to start roaming around, and they were able to hold their own for the most part once they did start to move out of that tri-lane phase. But anyway, enough about last game. Talking about this game, Weaver going to be seen for the 2nd time in a row. He joins Magnus, which I kind of touched on, a hero that has waxed and waned in his popularity, but is still just extremely potent. He's the kind of hero that you can build a lineup around, and already with the Weaver and the Rubik out, we saw this run exactly by CyberPink almost, with a Rubik and the Weaver at the very least. And CyberPink this time going with a very similar lineup to MUFC. Lifestealer and Shadow Demon run by MUFC in game number 1. They had Alina in game 1, though. This time they're just going to go ahead and pick up a very high potential mid and Templar Assassin. Now, TA has been nerfed a little bit in the past few patches, but still very potent. She's not really in that first pick sort of a mode now, at least to most teams. I mean, there still are some that very highly prioritize her. Empire in the North American and European scene being a great example of that. But she just gives you so much potential in the mid-game. And with a Lifestealer already, a hero that, depending on how you build him, can start to take fights very quickly. And we actually saw in game 1 what I think we're going to see here in game number 2. And it's become more and more common in all scenes that I've happened to watch. And it's, you know, just laughably titled the Lifestealer Bomb, where you can infest the Lifestealer into heroes who naturally have some way to initiate, some way to cover ground, or if you're in the case of a Templar Assassin, that's a hero that's going to build a Blink Dagger. I mean, you're just not going to see a TA, so long as she has an okay laning phase. Doesn't even have to have a good one, just an okay start in mid, which TA certainly should have. One of the more dominant 1-versus-1 heroes, especially in a mid situation, just because of refraction and the fact that she has an inherent escape ability in meld to help her out whenever she does come under pressure, buy some time for TP reactions to come out. So long as TA has a decent start, we're going to see an early Blink Dagger on her, no doubt about it. Then all of a sudden you have a Lifestealer who has that mobility as well. Once he hits level 6, you can infest him into the TA, and all of a sudden he's right in the middle of every fight. He's going to be able to open wounds whatever target he wants, and it's going to be a question of controlling the Weaver, and that's what we always see. Weaver's a hero who kind of has peaks and valleys. He's not like a Tiny or a Sven, for example, where whenever they're played in a carry role, I say they have a peak and a valley. Like, they peak up towards the later stages of the early game, then they fall off and need a lot of farm, but once they begin adding items, all of a sudden they climb back up that mountain, and their potential goes way up the later you go into the game, so long as they're adequately farmed. Weaver has a lot of moments like that. It's not just one big arc. Early on, level 1, you can't kill him just because of Shikuchi. Shikuchi does a lot of damage, and he can actually spam it even in very early levels, even without any base mana regen. Once he adds a ring of Aquila, it gets even more hard to deal with. That helps him with his armor as well. So he has a lot of these moments where he can do damage. He's very situational. You don't want to deal with him in big fights just because you're not going to kill him. He is going to be able to use Shikuchi over and over again, and that's a lot of damage up. At 150 damage on a 6-second cooldown is nothing to sneeze at. So he's going to be effective, but they certainly want to farm him towards the late game. I mean, that's always optimal. And we saw CyberPink moving in that direction in game 1, looking to complete an MKB on him. It makes it so hard to try and hold even the tier 3 when a Weaver is able to get up an MKB, just because he can sit on the low ground when sieging the base. You can't really afford to come out and engage on him because of his inherent escape mechanisms, not to mention his ultimate, which makes it, you know, it makes it a risky proposition, because 9 times out of 10, when teams want to push the tier 3, you just sit back, wait for them to come a little too far forward, then engage them in that natural choke point. Weaver makes that something that's really not something you can rely on. So MUFC has a lot of push potential coming out already. Their team fight potential with the Magnus is certainly there as well. We can already see, looking at their second phase bans, the Darkseer, the Enigma, and the Lena ban, the two of those three, of course, being team fight heroes, not wanting to add them to their own roster, just wanting to cut down on any sort of team fight potential CyberPink can bring to bear. And CyberPink, instead, just saying, you know what, we feel like we can outdamage you. We've got a TA who is not the greatest late game hero. She does scale pretty well, though, on through to the late stages of the mid game. And she, I mean, if she gets ahead, she certainly can do plenty of damage in the mid game. But all things being equal, really her wheelhouse is between 20 and 30 minutes, 20, 30, 35-ish. If you do okay, you have enough kills, you're not dying too much. Lifestealer, again, kind of the same way, really. He can late game carry, but against, say, the three carries that CyberPink banned out, Void, Phantom Lancer, and Luna, he just would not win, all things being equal in the late game. Those are just three heroes he would have a hard time hanging and banging with over the long term. Keeper of the Light, the fourth pickup out of CyberPink, and MUFC has completed their lineup with a Juggernaut, so that push potential now going to show itself, no doubt about it. You see a Juggernaut picked up like this, especially, I mean, their lanes are pretty locked in. I would say that I don't think there's going to be, well, I don't know now that I think about it. They could actually offensively tri-lane this if they really wanted to. Usually you won't see that. You just want to protect a Juggernaut. You want to let him get some early levels, get one or two items up, and then you want to start to push. And with the push potential that comes with it, Leshrac in particular. But look at the pure spam that MUFC has as well. Magnus with Shockwave, then you have Fadebolt out of Rubik, then you have Weaver with Shikuchi, as I've already talked quite a lot about. So you're going to be able to spam down waves. You're going to have the healing ward off of Juggernaut and his potential to fight really well early on. So usually that's what you build around, the idea of pushing a lot of early towers. But when I look at their lineup, they actually have a pretty decent offensive tri-lane if they can guess it right. Keeper of the Light being shown by CyberPink, he's actually, I mean, he's not really that great of a laner when under a lot of pressure. Where Keeper of the Light does well is if the other two heroes in the tri-lane can buy him a little bit of space. Doesn't have to be a ton now. I'm not saying that he needs a lot of room to operate. So if they do decide to offensively tri-lane this, and by they I mean MUFC, they're going to have to assert a lot of dominance over the jungle. Magnus should be mid. Weaver, I would think, would be long lane. Taking a look at CyberPink's lineup, yeah, I mean, it seems pretty obvious. TA mid. They're going to have Shadow Demon, Lifestealer, Keeper. Keeper 9 times out of 10 going to wind up in the defensive tri-lane, and then Clockwork will be looking to long lane for them, if I had to guess. But, I mean, again, MUFC, I'm leaning towards the idea that they're going to run this in a much more typical way, as in just defensively tri-lane it, then try to capitalize on Juggernaut's push potential combined with the magic damage spam that they're going to have. And they have a lot of it. I mean, fighting into MUFC's squad at early levels, level 6 to 10, is actually going to be really hard, especially once Magnus hits 6. I mean, even without a Blink Dagger, just the threat of RP and the range on Skewer, and that's going to be something else that's worth watching, is how Magnus skills himself. That'll tell us a lot as well. I mean, the most typical way that you'll see a Magnus skill himself is almost always going to be just pure Shockwave as well as Skewer. But we have seen some variation in the past, or at least I have, where you'll see them put a couple more points into Empower. And the reason for that is Magnus himself is going to benefit from it, but then you can toss it onto a hero like, say, a Weaver or a Juggernaut, just to give them that much more right-click potential early on. And not going to have time to run through the lineups right now. Teams are going to be moving towards the same piece of real estate. That's going to be the Radiant side jungle. We've got FZFZ, or Amgid from MUFC. Actually, no, that's FZFZ. Joined right after Winter did. But from the moment, it's kind of hard to call a Tier 1 advantage right now. I mean, it seems to me like CyberPink, if they landed Illuminate, would have the advantage. But there's so many ways for them to punish us, and we may have a battle. Juggernaut's going to go for it. There's Telekinesis on the Shadow Demon. There's the spin as well. Illuminate does connect, but not before First Blood is secured. Now Winter in trouble. Open Wounds is there. There are the Cogs. That's going to catch him inside. He's taking a lot of damage. Illuminate's there. And a Shockwave as well. We're already seeing that spam power. Juggernaut will not get away. He will be cleaned up. 2 for 2 in that exchange. And yeah, already looking a lot like Game 1. Game 1, both teams, once the kills started to pile up, it didn't really slow down, and we've already got 4 kills on the board, and the horn has just sounded. So while the players draw on the minimap, how about I tell you who's playing on who? We're going to have Rubik handled by the captain. That's going to be by Winter, a fan favorite. A lot of folks happy to see him in action. We're going to have the stand-in. Wang Wang, I was informed by one of our very astute and very dedicated viewers that WW stands for Wang Wang, and that is certainly a lot easier to say than WW, so I'll try to keep that in mind. We're going to have playing on our Juggernaut Weaver. Going to be handled by Imgid, or that's actually TFG, so. And then FZFZ, going to be playing our Magnus here in mid. The other side of the river, CyberPink, going to have TA played by Misa. Clockwork, going to be handled here by Secret. He's going to be in a lot of trouble up there too, by the way, and we'll get to that. Hang on. As I'm in the middle of it, there was a disruption on the Jugger, and already. Thought they were going to try and go for it, not going to be the case. They are offensively trialing the keeper. I'll get to that in a moment once I run through the lineup. Speaking of, Ares will be handling that offensive keeper. Boss, who played our Lone Druid in Game 1, will be handling a Lifestealer this time around. And Typhoon will be playing our Shadow Demon. So let's talk about this keeper for a minute. I talked about how he needed a little bit of room to operate to really be effective in a defensive trialing, and he is susceptible to being under a lot of pressure if he's not able to land his Illuminates, and really that's what I mean, is he needs to be able to stay safe, not take a lot of harass, because he is going to be pretty low level for quite some time, even in the best of situations. You put him in an offensive trialing like this, he doesn't just need room to operate, he needs a lot, and we can already see he's spending a lot of time back. He's about to hit level 2, so having Chakra will help not just himself, but his entire team out, but really, this is not a lineup that needs to spam a lot. This is not a lineup that should be burning through a lot of mana for the most part. I mean, obviously, it's nice to have that to rely on, and the only hero who really needs that extra mana is certainly going to be spamming with the Illuminate. But this is just such a dangerous piece of territory right here, and that's really where Keeper wants to be for the most part. We can already see they're moving back. Ares is all the way back near the tower. Shadow Demon made his way around, dropped himself a ward, and in the meantime, TA keeping room control. But yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This is the worst situation he and the Shadow Demon can find themselves in. They need to try and get over in this side of the Radiant Jungle, in the side of those trees. And unless they do, they're going to be fairly susceptible. Lifestealer's doing okay farm-wise, and hang on, Weaver actually killed Clockwork, and we're going to have them go on Typhoon. There's the spam, beautifully timed with the splitter. If there's a disruption, though, it buys a little bit of time. Don't think it's going to matter in the end, and it won't. They may try to get a return kill, but nope, not going to be able to do so. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, what could Ares do there to help his team out? Like, what potential did he really have? He hit an Illuminate, but it's a level 1 Illuminate. It hurts, but he can't do anything else but run away. And this is just, this is why you don't usually see a keeper in this situation. Offensively tri-laning him, unless it's just with 2 heroes that can really dominate a lane. And, well, let me put it this way. When you offensively tri-lane a keeper, it's usually because of Chakra, not because of Illuminate. It's usually because you've got him with 2 heroes who benefit immensely from being Chakra'd over and over and over again. And it's not even about the Illuminate. I mean, obviously, again, you'll take that damage if you can. But that's when you see tri-lanes like this succeed. Not to say this has failed completely, but their room for error has fallen off entirely. Like, they cannot give up another set of kills. Juggernaut already sitting in pretty good position. 11 last hits in the face of an offensive tri-lane. He's behind the Lifestealer, though, so at the very least, CyberPink has that going for them. Back to this matchup, attempted skewer there out of FZFZ. And, of course, as soon as I pay attention to man, there's another kill, there's a disruption. They're going to try and get a little payback. There's a spin through that. Typhoon's going to be the target once again. Should be able to clean him up with 1 more auto attack. Make it 2 more auto attacks, they will. Now it's a question if they can clean him up. Wang Wang's there. Splitter's going to be off the mark. Oh, the Courier will take 1 last shot. Telekinesis might make him pay, though. And should make him pay. Getting the Courier is certainly nice at this stage. But the levels are beginning to get a little discrepant. This is not... I don't think that this is a lane that CyberPink can continue to run the way they are. It's just going to get more and more unpleasant for them. And back to mid. TA sitting on top. She's at 22. Magnus is hanging and banging at 14, though, so he's in okay shape for the moment. I wanted to talk about this, but I think the point's already been demonstrated. This is just not a good situation for Clockwork in terms of being able to get anything but experience. Experience-wise, he's doing okay, actually. He's a level behind. He did die. He's not going to be a level behind for long, though. Actually, no, he's going to be more. Nope, we're going to engage on the Jugger. He's going to spin away. Wang Wang is there. Thought about a splitter, thought better of it, though. Canceled during the animation. And Magnus now taking a lot of damage, and this is really what makes TA so miserable to lane against. Few extra tower shots that were needed there taken, but she's one of those heroes that at level 1, she's not the most dominant mid in history. She's a pain in the ass because of refraction. She can last hit much easier than most other heroes can. But as she gets closer to 6, and especially once she hits 6, she can start using her traps. All of a sudden, she's just untenable. You just cannot deal with her. And we see 1 point has been put into Mill. That's pretty standard. 1 into Side Blades, maxing refraction, no big surprise. Taking a look at Weaver, maxing Shikuchi, and actually maxing Geminate attack. And that's always interesting to see. Geminate attack, sometimes players will hold off on putting more than 1 or 2 points into it, just because you really need to have some right-click damage to make the most out of it. It helps last in, he helps with harass, but we'll see if he wants to put more than 2 points in. That'll tell us generally what his approach is going to be. And they're doing an okay job. I mean, they're actually continuing to zone the Jugger out. But he is right on par with the Lifestealer. And when you run an offensive tri-lane like this, you don't really want that to be the case. You don't want to break even in a situation like this. Wang Wang eats a lot of damage there, standing behind the trees at the wrong time. And Ayesee is doing a good job. I talked about the weaknesses of the hero in this situation in particular. Typhoon's got a haste. Looks like that's just him showing himself with that haste is enough to zone them out at least a little bit. But for the most part, Ayesee is doing everything he can based on his own hero. And that's really the all that you can ask of him. He's sitting at level 4, level 3 for the Shadow Demons, so the levels are not hugely discrepant right now. Juggernaut is level 6, though. Has 3 points into spin, 1 into heal, and 1 into Omni Slash. Usually, the second point in the healing ward is a good marker that a lot of teams use to determine when they're going to start their push off of the Juggernaut. And this is going to be a single pull, so that push should be coming momentarily. And that coincides basically with what I was saying. Juggernaut, oh, he's a fresh 6, so he's already got the healing ward down, getting himself and his team up to snuff. Courier has respawned, so that's the one very good thing CyberPink has going for them. They are being doubled up by MUFC right now. Magnus is 7, and Misa level 8, so the advantage is there. Here comes Secret. Gonna go ahead and spam a little bit. There's the side trap. Oh, he didn't make it! FC did not make it to the high ground. Big mistake out of FC, and he's gonna end up dead because of it. No reason he should have failed to make it to the high ground there, but ends up dead. Don't think they could have pursued him otherwise. And here we go. They're gonna go for it. Lifestealer's the one they want. There's a disruption immediately out. Open wounds on Wang Wang. And Lifestealer making a run for it. Telekinesis there to stun them out. The 2 supports left to fend for themselves. Here comes TE, though. She wants to engage. Side trap catches both of them. Winner and Wang Wang are there. There's an Illuminate to follow it up. Split Earth buys a little bit of time. Now a TP reaction coming as well. That's going to be FC. He's got an RP if he wants it. Ares will make it away. They do clean one up in the meantime. Here comes a skewer. RP spent. Got them both. Cleaned up the Lifestealer. And now TA has to run as well. Clockwork's here. Good hook. Gets a kill on the Lashrakan. Winner. Fresh out of mana. Forced to run for the tower as well. And FC coming in at the right place at the right time, but will be finished off. Tell you what, man. This is a great series for me to have come back to Asian Dota. Absolute slugfest in Game 1 and now in Game 2. We're short of 9 minutes in. And we've got 15 kills already on the board. Both of these teams want to fight. Taking a look at top, TFG. See what he wants to do. He's picked up a Sage's Mask. And well, I'm not going to say what he's going to build that into until we get a better look. But he's off to a good start. He's our top farmer on the board. And when you can put a Weaver in a solo situation and still have him as top farmer on the board, that's just good drafting. That's where you want that hero. He is just about impossible to deal with one-on-one for anybody, unless you pick a Bloodseeker who's been picked twice in the D2L. And Bloodseeker actually makes life hell for Weaver, but that's a topic for another day. But whenever you can draft to put yourself in a situation where you have not only a Weaver on the board and all that he brings at all phases of the game, but he's one of the best farmers because you have anticipated the lanes correctly. That's just good drafting, and it really, really gives you a great chance to get some work done in the mid-game. Having him off to a good start, if he can get up, say, a quick Lincoln's followed by a damage item, or even if he just wants to go pure damage, go like Aqualay. And and then just rush out an MKB, give you that much more pushing power. And that would really jive well with what MUFC already has. Juggernaut is level 7, approaching level 8. Second point will go in a healing ward, and again, usually that's when you see Juggernauts want to push the most. 10 minutes in, already had a lot of action. We have a smoke up, and FCFC's there. He's got a haste room bottled up, but we'll keep an eye on Winter and Wang Wang as they make their way around. Oh, you poor Clockwork. This could get very nasty very quickly. They're going to go ahead and take a detour up, though. Looks like TA is going to be their target. In the meantime, Jugger just hanging and doing his own thing down here. Getting a lot of solo XP, and he's actually farming okay, given it's 1-on-3 right now. Fight could break down there at any point. Weaver's got to be careful here. He's trying to be bait, but he's taking a lot of damage, and there we go. Telekinesis is going to be there. Could not have done it better. Absolutely timed just about to the millisecond. In the meantime, Secret will be dove, and they're going to go 1-for-1 here. Yep. Oh, whoa, no! The haste rune plus the wand charges. Wand, best item, 2013. Gotta love that. Well played by FCFC. Adds another kill to the total, and it looks like MUFC is going to get their push going, but it's not going to include Jugger. He has put that second point into healing ward. Now he will be engaged upon. He has spin and Omni Slash if he needs it. And that's just the damnable part of trying to engage into a Juggernaut. Even if you have that much superior firepower, even if it's 3-on-1, you just can't kill him. Not at this stage of the game. I mean, burst damage is grand, but when you can't disable him, and he's already moving fairly quick, I mean, what are you going to do? He's picked up phase boots, as is pretty typical. And he will be going drums as well. I really like that build on him. Haven't talked a whole lot about Juggernaut builds. I mean, there's so much variation depending on what people want to do with him and depending on what they feel like he needs to bring to the team, because it's really his skill set is why you draft the Juggernaut to begin with, not because of anything that item-wise, not because he scales well with a particular item or particular set of items. But picking the drums up helps him out with his mana quite a bit. One of the most cost-efficient items in the game, and we're going to see a hook connect on Winter. He's going to telekinesis Secret out. Buys himself some time, but it's not nearly enough. Illuminate was there, but not even needed. And Magnus has taken mid-tower in the meantime, and just going to TP right on back to the hoose. 10-8. MUFC leads in kills. They lead in gold as well, despite losing their courier. Just 12.5 minutes in, but they already lead 3,000 gold, make it 3,000 experience to their advantage as well. Will be an armlet build coming out on boss.
Top tower is under attack.
He's making okay time towards that. He's near the top in terms of last hits. But again, the problem I have with this out of CyberPink, and I won't say it's a problem, I mean, it's just, it's well played by MUFC is the way to look at it, is you run an offensive tri-lane like this, you want to accomplish a particular purpose. But this Juggernaut is farmed just fine. And he's right on par with your Lifestealer. Now they're going to engage on him again, and now he's just going to go ahead and spin. He's got an Omni Slash if he wants it. He's silenced for the moment. And going to use drums as well, but here comes the help. Oh, what an RP! Caught all three, and CyberPink overextending way too much. Hung around in a bad neighborhood. Doesn't matter if it's daylight. What a massacre. And FCFC made one mistake early, caught hell from this caster, and has given me reasons to yell in a much better way now. Two fantastic reverse polarities. And that's really the difference, is his RPs. And looks like here in mid, oh wow, Misa's actually in trouble. I'm trying to flash the camera back and forth. Melda's going to be there. Wang Wang's going to have a split earth. I was going to say, Misa's going to have to bail here soon. Comes out of it. In the meantime, they're pushing down here. Another engagement. Typhoon in trouble. Will be cleaned up. And that tower just about to drop as we see Misa pursued. Misa trying to chase the courier down. And Ares doing what he can from where he can. Illuminate not going to accomplish a whole lot here. That courier still in danger. Should be able to make it back now. But this game looking to be very close to getting out of hand. And CyberPunk again, I feel like they're playing like a really solid Dota team. MUFC's just on a bit of a different level, and that's not to be taken as an outright negative. I mean, MUFC is populated by players that most of us are familiar with, even me. Whenever again, I'm a caster who predominantly covers North American Dota and European Dota. But MUFC just playing like a world-class team. And Misa will be locked down. And that's the kind of thing you can't have happen. You know, it's little things like that. And again, we talked about the lanes, and Weaver's had a great start. I mean, Weaver's got 90 last hits at 15 minutes, okay? I think great start is almost an exaggeration and understatement. Actually, it's a big-ass understatement if you want to get right down to the brass tacks of it. Weaver has done a fantastic job. He's got his relic up already. So, looking to go Radiance, which is odd to me. I haven't seen Weavers build a Radiance in quite some time. Winner is going to find himself a prize. That's a poor keeper of the light. Splitter's out off the mark, but Magnus showing off that Blink Dagger is there to follow up with the Shockwave. And now MUFC doubling up the opposition. Here comes TA looking for the return kill. A little bit of flare damage. Wang Wang is going to be locked down. Huh. That was... I know what happened. I'm just not sure what caused it to happen. Side blades. That's what it was. Had to have been. Oh, wow. He's going to be caught out by Secret again. And skewers back down to the river. Right into the hands of Winter. Winter right in the right place at the right time. He's going to get a kill before he drops. Should end up dead here. Oh, no. Blink Dagger. 1 second. He's got it. Makes it to the high ground. What a play. Fantastic play out of our Magnus. And Winner, who stole Refraction, is staying alive long enough for Weaver to get here. And now Lifestealer realizes, oh, crud, there's more people here than I thought. And he's going to be pursued out and dropped from the low ground. Now Misa's in trouble. Uses the Refraction. They're going to pursue him down. That's the last of the mana, but it is enough to eat through the Refraction charges along with the Radiance. Misa, it's been real, Misa, but you're gone again. 20-9. MUFC playing a great game of Dota. Great decision-making, and this guy right here, FCFC, playing a beautiful Magnus. Decision-making is there. One mistake he made since then, been all clean. Going to get himself a solo kill more or less on his lonesome. Had a little help there. But now Clockwork wants to re-engage. Cogs go down. FCFC can't do much but await his fate. Does end up picked off. Jugger eats a little bit of damage as well. So CyberPink, they're hurting. They're bleeding. But they're scrambling for a Band-Aid. At least showing signs of life. Haven't had a chance to look at the gold graph. Gonna bet, yeah. Was thinking 5 figures. 10,000 gold. The advantage for MUFC. The experience, 10,000 in their favor as well. Juggernaut has really not been that big a part of this, to be honest. And that's what's even more impressive. You pick a Juggernaut. Juggernaut is what I call a high-value hero. I mean, yes, obviously any hero you pick needs to have high value to your squad. But you need to get a lot out of Juggernaut 9 times out of 10 to make a team lineup work that consists of it. Or has him included in it, I should say. And, yeah, Secret's just run out completely. We'll be able to make it away. Hang on. Now we're going to have a battle. There's a side trap, but not enough. Typhoon being pursued out now. Uses Demonic Purge. What a split earth. Well shot out of Wang Wang. And here comes Magnus. Just passing through, bro. Don't worry about it. Didn't even mean to catch anybody. I was just saying hello. Trying to drive by Mag. But, anyway, there's the Infest. And that's something else I actually didn't even think about. We'll hold on to that thought for a moment, though. And here we go. Lifestealer Infest out. Wang Wang the target. But the RP! Once again in the right place. Secret will end up dropping. Now, he's actually going to get away for the moment. Not enough of a follow-up so far, but with Rage on cooldown, Lifestealer can't re-engage. But Weaver's there to secure the kill. And now Split Earth actually going to be mistimed. Misa doing what damage he can. Here comes the Courier once again right into the fray. Here comes another Skewer. And FC just playing chest out Magnus. Getting the job done every time. Misa's back up. And we're going to see another kill. Now Secret has locked in. Shockwave from a distance. Not going to be enough to prevent the kill. In the meantime, the battle rages on in the dire side jungle. Misa's been spotted out. And the damage output out of Weaver is getting a bit hard to handle. He's going to drop. Here comes Lifestealer, but what can he do? He's going to kill Winner. But he should be able... Oh, hang on. Clockwork going to re-engage, get himself another kill. Now the cogs go down, but there's another kill going the way of Juggernaut. Absolute pandemonium here in this middle lane. Looks like we may have a bit of a lull, if you can even call it that. They're going to re-engage onto the Weaver. Weaver uses his ult that dispels the open wounds, and now Boss might be in trouble. Leshrack's there, ready to push with Edict. And Leshrack does get the kill on the tower. There's a split earth off the mark. Not many have missed from Wang Wang. That one does, though. And Weaver continues to just hit so damn hard. Illuminate from the high ground, enough to ward them off for the moment. MUFC has opened up quite the lead. To put it mildly, 12,000 experience in gold. And looks like this 20-minute slugfest, this 20-minute swing from the shoelaces madhouse might be moving in the direction of a 2-0 win for MUFC. But to CyberPink's credit, man, they're not letting it go. It's just so hard whenever you get this far behind to this kind of a lineup. And again, what impresses me the most is how relatively small a part Juggernaut has been of this. Hang on, we're going to have Weaver engaged upon Shikuchi's, but what can you do other than try to hide? Illuminate, he is going to pop the ult, but the Infest is there. In the meantime, though, as cool as it is to kill Weaver, a lot cooler to take a tier 2 tower. They do that without so much as a buy your leave. But back to what I was saying is I'm just really impressed with how well MUFC has played, despite Juggernaut being a relatively small part of it. Juggernaut usually needs to be a big part of the composition. Hold on. They're going to be spotted out. There's Omni Slash. Oh, Clockwork, knew you well, buddy. See you in the well. And they're going to re-engage on the Juggernaut. RP's going to be spent. That's more or less wasted, though. That was this is just not a good engagement. And CyberPink, making the most of it. Really like the tenacity being shown out of the Vietnamese squad. Not giving up any more than they could. Still have all their racks standing. No reason to give up the fight quite yet. TA has not had the best game in history. Doesn't even have a Blink Dagger yet. 2 Wraith Bands, that's cool. But the lack of mobility is really hurting her combat potential in a big, big way. Not just that. I mean, hurting the way that she can synergize with everyone else. We've got an Oblivion staff in the inventory of Boss. So he looks to be going for an Orchid, which is great. I think that's a fantastic choice because that gives him the potential to nullify Weaver's advantage. I was joking around earlier, but it's 100% true. Bloodseeker's been picked twice in the D2L. Has a 100% win percentage in the D2L, actually. But the last time he was picked, first time, kind of a troll game, not going to lie. Second time he was picked, though, it was to counter a Weaver, and he worked remarkably well at doing that, just because of the way that Rupture plus his silence works. And adding an Orchid to Bloodseeker's, or excuse me, to Lifestealer's inventory is going to allow him to do essentially the same thing. There's a hook that misses, and a shame that it missed. It was actually the side trap that caused that to miss, the reduced movement speed, being FC wasn't where Secret thought he would be. But anyway, looks like we're going to have a fight. Secret is going to be telekinesis brought back. There's the Infest. Now, what a split earth, though. Caught them both. The battle kind of spreads itself out. And, yeah, our Weaver back behind enemy lines. Now we're going to have Jugger engaged upon. He's making his way down to the river. Big opportunity for an RP if he can get into position. All of them grouped up there. Jugger's going to re-engage. Even Roshan getting involved. There's the RP. Caught Boss. And he will be cleaned up. Very odd fight. Misa going blow for blow with Jugger. Now the Skewer caught a couple more. 3 down. And Jugger traded for 3. I'm actually surprised they're not just going for Roshan here. And again, back to what I've said a couple of times. I'm a predominantly Yep, they are going to go ahead and ping out Roshan. This makes much more sense. I was going to say, I'm a predominantly North American European Dota caster. And already, just in these 2 games, the lack of emphasis on Roshan is showing a little bit. And it's interesting to see. We've got a lot of kills on the board. We got 51 in a 24-minute game, averaging more than 2 per minute. Another absolute slugfest, but this one pretty steadily heading the direction of MUFC. 15 and 14,000. Up, hang on, they're going to re-engage. Heard the hook go off. No follow-up, though. It's going to be a Lincoln Sphere, the next choice for the Weaver. Just wants to tank himself up. He's got enough damage coming out of the Radiance, not just from the burn damage, but from the base attack damage, not to mention Geminate attack, giving him all the bonus DPS he could possibly want. Wang Wang has added a point booster, so he's tanking himself up. We'll see what that's on the way to. Ghost Scepter pickup on Winter. Very, very wise. He's a high priority target that CyberPink is going to want to take out of the fight very early, and just by having the Ghost Scepter ready to keep heroes like the Lifestealer off of him, or at least buy him time, allow him to kite him out, going to make it much easier for him to have a bigger impact. Misa's going to be spotted, blink away immediately. FCFC probably could have skewered there, but CyberPink, they're behind, man. They're down, but they're not out. And they are not about to let this game get away from them. Or at least not get away without a fight. I kind of... Let's be honest, the game got away from them a while ago. But they're not going to lose without a fight. That's the general idea I'm trying to put across if I were a competent human being with adequate powers of speech and communication. Instead, I'm just lucky to have awesome viewers who put up with my quirks. If you're just tuning in, this is game number 2 of this best of 3 between MUFC and CyberPink. We're here in Group A of Phase 2 of the Asian qualifier for G-1. And Roshan, the next target, just heard a hook, and it was onto an illusion. Those little larvae should give this away. Here we go. Secret wants to wander in. There's the infest out. Roche drops. That's going to be given. There's an RP that catches 2, though. Brought him outside of the cogs, and now they have to fight from low health. Wang Wang being pursued out. There's the Omni Slash. 2 or low. Illuminate catches all it needs to, but the damage output just way too high out of MUFC. Misa looking to clean things up, but not nearly fast enough. 4 down, soon to be 5. Would have been 5. Old Secret manages to make it back just by the skin of his teeth. Had about 5% hit points, if that. Shadowblade, the pickup here on Juggernaut. This is, you know, I've never actually seen this in a professional game, a Shadowblade pickup on Jugger. I don't hate it, one little bit. And again, it comes down to what you want out of the hero. And I think it works quite well in this situation. But don't know that it's really going to matter. This game more or less got away from them a long time ago. Another good skewer brings Ares back and seals his fate. There's a disruption buying a little bit of time. Soul Catcher does connect. Weaver, though, force-staffed right on top, and he will be able to get another kill. Bloodseeker can do nothing as the ult from Weaver gets him back to safety. Tier 3 is down. Moving on to the melee racks. GG should be coming out fairly soon, I would imagine. There's really just nothing they can do at this stage. Magnus going to have RP back up at 25. In the meantime, Weaver is just chopping wood. Oh, what a skewer! Troll Magnus catches her just at the lip of the fountain. And yeah, just look at the damage that Boss is taking now. Lincoln Sphere complete. Yeah, there it is. GG called. And MUFC, the first team to advance to Day 2, or I should say Round 2 of our Phase 2 here in the Asian qualifiers of G League. Very well won in both games. We can already see 20,000 gold, 25,000 experience in a 27-minute game. I want to go ahead and give some credit to CyberPink, though. CyberPink showed me some things. I think they're a good squad, and especially I don't know that I've ever casted a Vietnamese squad before until today. So I really hope they stick with it. They won their way into this series here by coming through the Phase 1 of the Asian qualifiers. So the team certainly has some talent and has already beaten some talented teams. They're going to come up short here today. But it's a team I hope to see more of in the future, just like I hope to see more of you beautiful people in the future. It's 10 after 5 a.m. here on the East Coast, which means we're going to be about 2.5 hours, give or take. 2 hours, 20 minutes, I do believe, separated from the end of this series and the beginning of next. I'll be hanging out, talking in the chat as always. And the GGs have called, but it looks like they're just going to bounce around and have some fun. I will talk it out when I have the, always want to have the scoreboard up at the very end. But while that's going on, our next series is going to be coming up again, right around 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That'll be 4:30 a.m. if you're on the West Coast. If you're in Europe, that will be around 1:30 your time if I'm converting the times correctly. I think, maybe, could be, should be. But yeah, actually it might be, no, it's daylight time, so you guys are 5 hours ahead now, so that would put it around 12:30 your time. But this is weird. Usually when the GGs come out, I've actually been staring at the Ancients. Since they're going to continue to fight it out, I'll continue to watch it, I guess. Usually the admins require a game to end after GG has been called, but looks like everyone wants to continue to use their items, at least for the moment. But anyway, yeah, we can. See, I got to admit, as a caster, I don't really like this. It makes it hard for me to have a smooth broadcast. Not that it really matters. I mean, they're going to continue to just... Yep, there we go. Finally, it blows up. And we see MUFC take themselves an impressive 2-0 win over CyberPink. And much love again to the Vietnamese squad. I hope they stick with it. I hope to see them play some more. I love seeing different nationalities represented more and more often, especially when I get a chance to catch.